Welcome to Coyote's Corner. This episode we'll hear Michael Lang tell his version of a Chinese folk tale, The Great Race.
In the beginning, the Jade Emperor, who rules over heaven and earth, decided that he wanted to place the likeness of 12 animals into the night sky. 12 new constellations, the zodiac. But which animals would he choose? He couldn't decide. So the Emperor thought for a time, and he had an idea. I know. I shall have a race, a great race, and the 12 animals who finish first, they shall be the 12 new constellations. When the animals heard the news, they were all excited. All of them hoped they would be among the 12 animals of the zodiac. The Emperor laid out the course for the race, through the forest, across a river, to a certain clearing where he would await the animals. In the morning, the animals all gathered together, and at the Emperor's signal, the race began. They all raced through the forest as quickly as they could. When they reached the river bank, they found the current was swift and strong. The river was wide and deep. Many of the animals turned back in fear. As Rat and Cat scampered along the riverbank searching for a way across, they saw the ox wading out into the current. The water was rolling across his back, but on he went, wading deeper and deeper. Ox! Ox, you have to help us. We're too small. We'll be swept away in the current. Please, Ox, please help us. Ox glanced back over his shoulder. He saw Cat and Rat both pleading. He looked to the far shore. He was in the lead. He could be the first animal of the zodiac. With a heavy sigh, the ox turned around. He went back to the shore and lowered his shoulder so that Rat and Cat could climb upon his back. Then Ox waded out once more. The water was rolling across his back. Rat and Cat clung to him tightly to keep from being swept away. As they neared the far shore, Rat smiled a crooked grin at Cat and gave him a push. There was a terrified scream as Cat fell into the water. He was swept away in an instant. "Ha ha ha! I'm going to win!" laughed the Rat. He hopped upon Ox's head, then jumped to the far shore. He scampered up the river bank. By the time Ox crossed the river and reached the clearing where the Emperor was waiting, it was too late. The Rat had already been named the first animal of the zodiac. "That was a dirty trick," said Ox. "That was a dirty trick you played, Rat." So it was that Rat became the first animal of the zodiac, and Ox became the second. A moment later, the Tiger came running into the clearing, panting for breath. "Am I late? Am I late?" "No," said the Emperor. "You are the third animal to arrive, Tiger." "Oh, good. I was swept so far downstream, I had to run back up the shore, and I'm going to take a nap now." The Tiger collapsed in a heap. A moment later, the Rabbit came hopping from the forest. "Rabbit," said the Emperor, "how did you get here so swiftly?" "Oh, Emperor, I found stepping stones. I was hopping from one stone to the next, but one of them was slippery. I slipped and I fell into the water. I was nearly washed away, but by fortune's chance, a floating log came by. I grabbed a hold and I was carried to shore. Then I hopped my way here, Emperor." "And for that, Rabbit, you shall be the fourth animal of the zodiac." It was not long before the dragon emerged from the clouds overhead. He circled over the clearing, landed beside the Emperor, and bowed low. But the Emperor was confused. "Dragon, you have wings. What could possibly have taken you so long to get here?" "My Emperor, I had to bring rain to all the people of the village. Then as I was crossing the river, I looked down and I saw a helpless rabbit clinging to a log. So I used my breath, and I brought him good fortune, brought him safely to shore. And for that, dragon, you shall be the fifth animal of the zodiac, but your name shall be one of the most honored names in all the world." By that time, the sun had risen high into the sky. Morning was beginning to fade into afternoon. The horse came galloping out of the forest, but as she slowed to a halt, she saw the snake curled around her hoof, and she reared back in terror, kicking the snake loose. The snake flew through the air and landed at the Emperor's feet with a bump and a hiss. The snake became the sixth animal of the zodiac, and the horse became the seventh. The sun continued on its journey as afternoon wore on, and the rooster, the monkey, and the goat emerged from the forest together, They explained to the emperor how the rooster, with his keen eyesight, had seen a raft floating in the shallows of the river. The monkey had reached out with his long arm and pulled the raft to shore. Then with the rooster perched in the middle of the raft, the monkey in the front, paddling with his arms, and the goat clinging to the back, kicking with his powerful legs, the three of them had worked together to guide the raft across the river, and together they had arrived in the clearing where the emperor was waiting. The emperor was pleased when he heard this. He declared the rooster the 8th animal of the zodiac. The monkey became the 9th, and the goat became the 10th. The sun was beginning to set as the dog emerged from the forest. He bounded to the emperor's feet and shook his wet fur, then stared up at the emperor. The emperor frowned. "Dog, you are strong, and you are swift. What could possibly have taken you so long?" "Oh, Emperor, when I dove into the river, the current pushed me downstream, but I managed to paddle my way across. It was so much fun. I ran back up shore and I hopped in again and again and again and again. And oh, Emperor, then I smelled something in the shallows. Oh, the things I smelled. And I was digging in the mud and my paws were all dirty. And oh, then I had to take a bath. But then I remembered the race. The race, Emperor. I had to finish the race. And here I am." The Emperor smiled. "Dog, you are the 11th animal of the zodiac. But when it comes to playfulness, I believe you will always be the first." "Oh, thank you, Emperor." "Dog, do be quiet." "Yes, Emperor. Yes, I will be quiet. I'll be good." The sun had nearly set when the 12th animal arrived. It was the boar. The Emperor was very confused. "Boar, you are strong and you are swift when you choose to be. What took you so long to get here?" "Emperor, I had a big breakfast this morning and I didn't feel like running, so I walked. I walked through the forest, and I walked to the riverbank. I saw all the other animals struggling in the current. I saw them turning back in fear. That looked like far too much work, Emperor, so I walked upstream. I found a bridge, and I walked across that bridge, and then I walked here. Boar, you are clever indeed, and for that you will be the 12th animal of the zodiac." And so the 12 animals had their constellations added to the night sky. As the year goes by, one by one they rise and fall, each following the next. But all cats look up to the night sky, and they remember what the rat did that day. And so it is that all cats will chase after rats when they have the chance, just as all dogs will play when they have the chance. But it's not their fault. It's written in the stars.
That was Michael Lang telling The Great Race. I'm sitting down with Michael to get some background on this story. How are you doing, Michael?
Good. How you doing, Toby?
Very well, thank you. Well, thank you for that wonderful telling of this story. Where did this story come from?
So this story is my adaptation of a Chinese folktale that I found a summary of this story several years ago. I was doing a program for Chinese New Year theme, and at the time I only knew 2 or 3 Chinese folktales and decided that I needed a few more, and came upon a summary of this story, or a synopsis, and really just took that bare outline of the story and added some meat to it. I felt it would be a lot of fun to try and do this story that had all these different animals and explaining themselves to the emperor and him sort of judging why they deserve to be part of the zodiac.
Yeah, in this story you have a lot of the different character voices.
Yeah.
In a lot of the different stories that you tell, you go through these character voices. How do you develop those voices?
In a lot of cases, what I do is sort of think about that animal and sort of how is that animal usually portrayed? What things are associated with the animal? So, like the ox, for example. Oxes are kind of big. They kind of lumber about. They're generally perceived as slow creatures, and so giving him kind of this deep voice of, "That was a dirty trick, rat." Kind of a voice that suits those qualities. Whereas the tiger is a very strong character, and so giving her, granted in the story when she speaks she's out of breath, so it's, "Am I late? Am I late?" Someone who's just been running a lot.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you brought this story up for a Chinese New Year part. What are some other places where you've used this story?
I've used this story now and again at some festivals, and especially at festivals that go along with road races. In the past, I've been asked to tell stories for children's races where there may be some concerns of, this child didn't come in first place and are upset. And so to tell stories where that's okay, this animal didn't win, but yet they were still successful. And in a lot of cases, I will change the ending of the story. One version that I like to use at that sort of an event is to, rather than having the epilogue of the story, the ending be this sort of, to this day, all the animals, constellations are in the sky, and the rat and the cat, or the cat and the dog, having it be a question, sort of breaking down that fourth wall of theater and asking the question to the audience of, which animal will you be today? Will you be the rat who cared about nothing more than winning, or will you be the dragon who offered his breath to aid this other creature, or the ox who carried people, the dog who had so much fun that he forgot entirely about the race?
Yes, or the rooster, the monkey, and the goat that all work together.
They all work together, right, and how they use their skills so that all of them could succeed, right. And kind of putting that frame on the idea of running a race, that it really doesn't matter who wins. It's, did you have fun? Did you do well?
Cool.
Compared to yourself.
Yeah. So, Mike, this story is a Chinese folk tale. I know in a lot of your tellings you bring in Native American folk tales, you bring in a lot of European and a lot of Norse folk tales, which a lot of people say is like, hey, Irish folk tale, Germanic folk tale, you're Irish and German, hey, it's all good.
Right.
What kind of type of influences do you bring in, or how do you bring in the influences from outside of your culture? And have you found a lot of, pushback or questions about how you can tell, Native American
right.
or
Do you have the
Chinese
right
folk
to
tales?
tell this story that you have no connection to, right?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of questions in the general storytelling community of, I'm not Chinese. Is it okay for me to be telling a Chinese story? And my feeling on this is, when it comes to any culture, is these are stories. And if you focus only on your culture, how are you ever going to learn about these other cultures? We're a planet full of different kinds of people, and we're only ever going to learn about each other if we try to learn about each other. And what better way is there to learn about someone else than to listen to their stories, to learn their stories, to share their stories? We are so much our stories. So for me, my feeling is there are a lot of good stories out there that come from different cultures and that speak to those cultures. If those stories aren't told, something's going to be forgotten, something's going to be missed. Even if it's just my adaptation of that story, I'm at least passing on the knowledge to other people that, hey, in China, when they look up at the stars, they see something different up there than what the Greeks saw. When I look up at the zodiac, I know Virgo and Libra and Scorpio and, the traditional zodiac signs that come from Greece and the Greek observations. But after learning this story and telling this story, I learned what the Chinese see when they look up. And to me, that's valuable, to be able to share that.
Well, Michael, thank you for sharing the story and your background,
Absolutely.
and even your view on sharing stories with us here at Coyote's Corner. And
Absolutely.
I think both of us would like to thank our audience for listening in, and definitely check out Michael's website below, coyotesinc.com. There will be a link in the comments. You can check out a lot of other recordings that Michael and I have done, some live stuff that Michael has done. You can even purchase some CDs and get links to videos of Mike telling live. And thanks for joining in.
Don't forget to like and favorite and subscribe to all our videos so you never miss anything that's going on here at the Coyote's Corner.
All right. Again, thank you to everyone again. And until next time, this has been Coyote's Corner.
Welcome to the closet of despair. The dog came bounding from the forest. He leapt to the Emperor's feet and shook his wet fur. The Emperor frowned at the dog. Dog, you are swift and clever, and you're filthy. What the hell have you been rolling in? She's very upset. Tigers are very upset when they wake up. I bet you didn't know that. They're very cranky when they awake. There's often a growl or a roar or two. Then they usually eat someone. It's just how tigers are. But not this tiger. I don't know why. She really should be like any other tiger, I suppose. There's really no reason for her to be different. She did just finish a race. I imagine she wants more than a wheat cracker or something. It's what they give you after a long race. Maybe an orange slice? Some water? No, I think she wants meat. She's a tiger after all. Dog, you are the 11th animal of the zodiac. But when it comes to playfulness, I believe you will always be the first. Oh, that's great. I'm so happy you said that, Emperor. Oh, dog, be quiet. Okay, I can do that, Emperor. I can do that. I can do it really good. Dog, I'm serious this time. The story has to move on. Did that actually answer the question?
I think it did.
All right, cool. You got any more questions?
No, I think it's time for the wrap-up.
All right, should I give you a better segue to go into that wrap-up, or?
No, I think I can make something up.
All right, you can do it. All right, I'm gonna shut the hell up then.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. There.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.